Good afternoon, everyone. We're so excited to come to Life on Purpose Live, back with Life on Purpose Live. We have a very exciting topic today because we're talking about education, which we know is a front and center issue for a lot of parents. We have Joel Pinson with us today. He's the founder of LifeWise Academy, and he's going to tell us some things we might not really think that we know. We think we know otherwise, should I say. So, Joel, welcome. I'm so glad to have you with us today.
Beth, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
So, first of all, we got to talk football because you were a defensive tackle. I saw a lot of rings on your fingers. So,
Yeah.
Ohio State Buckeyes. We're Tigers families over here in Baton Rouge. But so, what was it like to play football and win all those rings? Because I know that had to be a pretty exciting time.
It was exciting. And growing up in Ohio, there's only one place you dream of going to play football, and that's for the Ohio State University. You need to make sure you pronounce that correctly, Beth. It's the
The
Ohio. That's right. And so it was, it was a dream come true. And I was blessed to be a part of some championship teams. And my freshman year there, we won the national championship and won three Big Ten championships and a bunch of bowls. And most importantly, we beat Michigan, that state up north, we call it. We rarely will pronounce the name of the state. That's our big rival. So it was a dream come true, but I knew that it was simply a platform the Lord had given me to be able to speak, as an athlete and share the gospel with others. And that led me to a life of ministry. Also, I got to meet my beautiful wife, Bethany, at Ohio State. She was a gymnast there. We met through the Athletes in Action ministry on campus. And the Lord has given us five wonderful kids. So, any case, thank you for asking.
Well, that's a great story, especially how you met at Athletes in Action. And I'm thankful that you were able to use that platform because education is a big deal to you. You know, you played in college and you were able to be different, in college as a witness for Christ. But now, fast forward, you're married to Bethany, you have five kids, and education has become front and center for you. So let's talk about LifeWise Academy because, see, we don't think it's okay to have Christian education in school, but tell us where we're wrong about that.
Yeah, well, most people hear what we do with LifeWise Academy and they think it must be made up or they think it must be illegal or something, but it is very real. And let me explain exactly what it is. We provide Bible education to public school students during school hours. And I'll say it even one more time because so many people, it kind of bounces off them. We have these concepts of separation of church and state,
Yeah.
but they're misinformed because under Supreme Court ruling, we are allowed to provide Bible education to public school students during school hours. In 1952, the Supreme Court ruled that this thing of released time religious instruction, that's the legal term, released time is constitutional. The students can be released from school in the middle of the school day. You can teach them the Bible. However, the program does need to be off school property, privately funded, and with parental permission. And this opportunity has just been kind of sitting almost entirely dormant for about 70 years since the Supreme Court ruling. We kind of fell in our lap. I was in a traveling speaking ministry to public school students, and this opportunity fell in our lap. And we said, wow, we really need to do something with this. And sure enough, the Lord is blessing it. And we pick kids up at the school, take them off site, teach them the Bible, and bring them back. And any community coast to coast can do the same.
So that's incredible because most people, like we said, I think people are so scared of the topic of church and state and, you can't pray at school and all of those things. But what you've done is you've gone into the public school system in 100 and over 100 cities and public schools, and you have off-site Bible studies. So what's the response been to you going to the schools and telling them what you have to offer with LifeWise Academy?
Well, a couple things. Number one, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. Even when we started this and had what we thought were optimistic goals, those have been far exceeded. We set a goal to serve 25 schools by 2025, And just this past fall in 2022, we found ourselves serving 133 schools, and we're confirmed in over 300 schools across 12 states for next year. And so the response has been overwhelming, and in some of the places you would never expect it, in some of the most challenging areas, large suburbs, inner cities, the most remote rural. I mean, really every context you can imagine, it's working. It's effective. And you said that when we go to the schools, yes, I lead a team of people to help communities, but primarily it is communities going to their schools. It's Christians and communities, it's churches, it's the community stepping up and then using the tools that we provide, that we've created through LifeWise Academy, to then provide this to their local public schools.
So they don't have to have you go in and do this. If someone wanted to offer this in their public school, they could contact your organization and you could have the resources available to make this an easy, I mean, you know what to do, how to do it. So
Right.
Someone could use your process and then offer that in a public school system anywhere in the country.
That's exactly right. And that's why LifeWise exists, is to make this opportunity available. Because when we were first introduced to this thing of release time, the big question in our mind is, how has this been available for 70 years, but almost
Yeah.
no one's even heard of it? It hasn't really grown. And we came to the conclusion that it's because of all the barriers to entry, all of the many details, logistics, and legal and policies. And so we said, what if we put all those pieces in place? What if we develop the training and the policies and the safety and the curriculum and all of those things so that communities don't need to reinvent the wheel? What if we provide the tools? Might this just take root? And boy, oh boy, it has. It has grown rapidly. And so, yes, we exist to provide those tools to community. Any community right now could begin the process. Anybody listening to this, watching this, could begin the process by going to lifewise.org. And you can find any school district in the entire nation on our website, and you can find out if a movement has maybe already started in your community. And if not, you can start it. We have a simple 10-step process to get this done. But again, it's the local community. It's not us riding in, from out of town. It's local community using the tools we provide to teach their public school students the Bible.
So in the 130 locations where you're already operating, you formed like a community, not a community, a partnership, a collaboration with that leader, with your organization, so that they don't have to go in and reinvent the wheel.
That's exactly right. Well, we kind of like I said, a 10-step process. It starts by actually collecting signatures. It's kind of a petitioning process. On our website, you can start what we call a community interest list. And then after you have more than 50 signatures, then we can move on through the process, and we form a steering committee that represents at least 3 churches in town. And so it's not any one person, it's the community coming together. And then with that steering committee, they work with our staff to develop a plan. That plan is then presented to the school. We don't go to the school until we've got people in the community involved and a plan in place. Then we go to the school and discuss the opportunity with the school. 90% of the time, once we're able to do that, we get approval to move forward. And then we find a director, we find teachers, but it's all, again, local people stepping up to get it done.
So how did you find that little loophole that made you decide, we're going to do this? And your wife, Bethany, and your 5 kids are traveling with you now. This is a family affair. This is your ministry. This is your purpose, your passion. How did you decide to do this?
Well, I didn't really find it. It found me, because people in my hometown of Van Wert, Ohio, go Cougars, they started a release time program back in 2012 and saw such incredible impact. Impact that when I tell you, you may not even believe it, because it's been so incredible. They launched a program to serve their elementary school students. Their goal is to serve 30% of the kids, because that's how many kids go to church in town. But to their surprise, the first year, 60% of the entire student body signed up. And by the third year, 95% of the entire student body, over 600 public school students every week, were being taught the Bible. That was in the early years, 2012 to 2015, when they first started. In 2018, they reached out to me because at the time when I live in Columbus, Ohio, but I had started a ministry to public schools. It was a traveling speaking ministry, and I would come home and preach in my hometown from time to time. And so they reached out to me as kind of the public school ministry guy, and
Mm-hmm.
and said, "Hey, Joel, help us try to solve this riddle. Really, it was how can we have this incredible program that's reaching 95% of our kids, and there isn't a program like this in every community coast to coast. You would think if a community can support a McDonald's and a library and a YMCA, you would think they would have a program like this." That's when I went to work. And I tell people that's when I stopped sleeping, because I realized that, boy, this seems to be the greatest missed opportunity of the American church to reach the next generation. We then concluded, well, it's because of the barriers to entry. So let's develop the tools. And so we created something new, that being LifeWise Academy. We launched our first programs in 2019. We launched in 2 schools in 2019, and here we are just a few years later, and we'll be serving over 300 schools next year.
And it just goes to show people want this. I get that there's the doorkeepers and the people that want to have all the different clubs and equal opportunity, but you've removed the barrier of that by taking them off site, so people can't really complain and come up against you, right? Because you have your own window of opportunity.
That's right. Well, for one, very, very few people want to complain at all, because it's most of the people in our country, even if church attendance is down, most people recognize the Bible still is a positive thing in the lives of
Mm-hmm.
kids. And so a family, even if they don't go to church, they think, well, a little bit of Bible in my kid's life would be a good thing. And so there's a very small, vocal, sure, but the small minority that they see the Bible as some sort of bad thing. But even that group are mostly silenced, because it's entirely with parental permission. Only parents who want their kids to have this will sign their kids up, and the kids that don't sign up, that's okay. Then it doesn't affect them. And so, yes, it's offsite, it's totally parent permitted. And the other piece that people don't necessarily realize is that school administrators, many of them, are looking for something like this. That when they find out that it's illegal, and here's a way for my community to invest in the lives of my students, I mean, that's an administrator's dream. Like, this is something that is so clearly black and white legal, I can't get in trouble for it. And it's a positive investment into my students when I know there's a crisis of character, there's a crisis of mental health, and here's some proven ways to improve the lives of my students. And that's why we have a 90% success rate once we're able to talk to an administrator.
Well, and it takes them out of the hot seat, because they don't have to deal with anything. This is an elective program signed on by the parents. The kids, obviously want to go. And so it's a win-win for everyone, because you're getting something that's desperately needed, and, it's in a way that is also accepted.
Yes, that's exactly right. And studies after studies show that when a kid has Bible education in his life, I mean, there's studies that, are secular studies, but they show that religious participation improves character, improves academic performance, improves mental health. That's, like you said, it's a win-win-win for everybody. It's only a very few number of people that just happen to have some sort of ideological, crusade against religion or Christians or something, that would have a problem with it. But then when they speak out, they kind of show themselves for who they are, because it is a very positive program that has a positive impact for everybody involved.
So what kind of stories are you hearing from your directors in those schools of kids that now have this new opportunity? What's the feedback you're getting from the kids and the parents?
Oh, I love this question. And I guess maybe how long do we have? Because we get stories, feels like every day. We see stories come in. I mean, recently I was texted a photo of a mom and her daughter who were baptized together. Wow. And when they gave their testimony, they said it was LifeWise. It was the daughter getting plugged into LifeWise. It was their step toward getting plugged into the church. There's a video on our website. If you go to our website and go to the videos page, you can find a video called Christian's Story. There's a boy who, almost ironically, was named Christian, but his family wasn't plugged into church. In fact, you'll hear in the video that he wasn't even familiar with the word Bible. He was so, unchurched, but went to the program, fell in love with the Bible, fell in love with Jesus, and asked the LifeWise teacher if she would call and invite his mother to church. He didn't think she would say yes if just he asked her. So he asked the teacher to invite him to church. The whole family's plugged into church. The mom is in it now, a weekly Bible study with the teacher, Christians in the class to be baptized. And the family's just been transformed because we're teaching the word of God and we're sharing the gospel with these kids, and the word of God transforms lives. And so our job in a way is very easy. We just get to share the good news with kids and then watch the stories roll in of lives changed.
Well, and the negative impact of not having this, I mean, we're seeing the isolation of kids. We're seeing anxiety going up. We're seeing suicide going up. We're seeing kids, I mean, seeing no reason to live because all of this has been taken out of school. I mean, if you don't have God and you don't realize you've been created for something other than just what you think you see, then the opposite effect is happening. So what do you say to a parent that they're freaking out right now about the state of education and their kids, and they want to do something to help them, but they're sitting back and they're going, oh my gosh, I can't afford private school. I got to work. I can't do homeschool. What are the options? I mean, how do you encourage someone who realizes they're swimming up a creek and they got no paddle, so to speak?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would tell them about LifeWise, right?
Right.
That's the beauty, and we hear from these parents every day is that they have their kid in public school, and as a parent, you need to do whatever you think is best for your child, right? And for many parents, that is having their child in the public school. And I want to tell them that you do not have to be satisfied, or you do not have to limit yourself to sending your child to public school knowing that they're simply going to have 30 hours of education where the name of God is never mentioned. Because as you just stated, that is not a neutral position. We try to say that public schools are neutral. That's not neutral. To send a kid to school for 30 hours a week and never mention God, that sends a very clear message to kids. And that is that God is either not real, or if he is real, he's not important. But we don't have to accept that, because through the Supreme Court ruling of release time and through the tools that we're trying to offer through LifeWise Academy, there can be a Bible education program that every kid can receive as part of their regular school day. That's one of the reasons why we say, hey, after school programs are great, but before school programs are great as well. But there's something special about during the school day when it's part of the child's education to be able to say, okay, this is so important. We're going to go off site. We're going to teach you the Bible. And we're going to bring you back. And so I would challenge that parent that you're referring to find your way to our website, lifewise.org, look up your local school. And if the process hasn't already started, you can be the one to start the process. Again, the first step is gathering those 50 signatures. So it could be as simple as add your name to the list and then send that link out to 10 friends and just see the process take care of itself.
And how about the transportation and the third-party location? How is that established?
Yeah, great question. And that, again, one of the reasons for LifeWise, right? Because all of these logistical questions start to pop in the head, right? But, facility, there's a variety of facilities that can be used. Sometimes there's a church even next door or a church down the street. And if it's down the street, then we normally have a bus or a shuttle that will take students to the church. Other times, a community will purchase a home next to the school and renovate it into classrooms.
Wow.
We have some communities. I just visited, you mentioned we're on the road as a family. We're visiting some of our programs out west. We visited a program in Indiana that the school's out in the middle of a cornfield. And we had a couple farmers that were arguing about who got the honor of donating the property to build a brand new Bible education facility right beside the school. And so when it comes to the facility, when it comes to transportation, where there's a will, there's a way. We're seeing communities step up big. And so if you're listening and you're thinking, oh boy, this seems too big, how would we build something? How would we renovate something? How would we get a vehicle? Let me just tell you this. I'm confident there are people in every single community that when they hear when they hear the only thing standing between the local public school students and a Bible education is writing a few checks or getting a building or that type of thing, they're stepping up. People all across America are stepping up. So don't let that be an obstacle.
And in a broader perspective, you as a parent and husband, father, you found a way to solve a big problem. And so there's a lot of Christians, believers out there, and they're looking at the world, they're going, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And so what do you say to them? Because we need all of us need to be doing what you did. You did it for education, but if we have to look at the world of problems that we are the solution. So what do you say to someone? They're not sure what they can do to change the world, but they want to know what to do next. How do you encourage that person?
Well, I would encourage that person to roll up their sleeves and to get to work. It is very easy in this day and age to have a passive mentality and to just to feel like there's other people that are running the world and we're just along for the ride. And that's just not true. You can step up, you can get involved, and you can do something. I do think LifeWise is a good example of that. I hadn't really thought of it in that way, but it is an example. I heard a pastor say that the Lord has made this world to be fruitful, that he's made the world that if you find a piece of dirt and you till the soil and you plant the seed and you take care of it, that it really does grow and produce all this fruit that is manyfold what you planted. And that's what we're seeing in LifeWise. And that's what I see in life, right? If you roll up your sleeves, if you get to work, God has made this world as such that he does bring back a harvest. And then, multiply that by, I guess, infinity when it comes to sharing his word. Then as his word goes out, a harvest really does come in. But you do need to roll up your sleeves and get to work.
And I like to say that you got to do the work. You got to do the work. And so it's not going to be easy. God does come along beside us, but we have to get our elbows dirty and sweaty and get out there and do the work. And now there's no better time. So hats off to you for doing the work. So we're getting some good comments. So last question. You're the author of 3 books. Anybody has any questions, you've got your book During School Hours. I'm assuming people can order that and get to work reading that, and it's your story plus how to do this, right?
Oh yeah, so it is an equal combination of the case for why this is so important, the story of how LifeWise got started and all the legal background and all of that, as well as the practicals of exactly how to get started today in your community. On top of that, there's a large appendix of all the frequently asked questions, because this concept does invite a variety of questions. And so, yeah, the book is a great resource. Amazon has it. You can go to our website. But I would also, as much as I'd love for people to buy the book and read the book, sure. You know what I'd love even more so is for people to get started in their community. Even if you never read my book, please find your way to our website, lifewise.org, look up your school and get involved.
And I think that's very well said. I'm very happy that you're doing what you're doing, because it does serve as an example of how to find a problem and then become the solution. And we've got to have that perspective and that mindset. We can't look at it and go, oh no, what are we going to do? We got to go, okay, I'm going to do something, right? That's what you did.
That's exactly right. And we talk around our team. We have a little slogan that says, we work smarter and harder by the grace of God. That we recognize that, yeah, we want to be as smart as strategic and innovative and problem solving as we can possibly be. And at the same time, we are going to put in the extra time. We're going to put in the sweat, put in the tears. We're going to wake up early. We're going to stay up late. We're going to get to work smart and hard, and recognizing that both of those are entirely by God's grace. Like Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15, that God's grace to him was not in vain. No, it resulted in him working harder. That when we are able to work hard and able to work smart, that is a manifestation of God's grace in our lives. And so that's how we want to approach LifeWise, and that's how we want to approach everything.
And faith without works is dead. So it's great to have faith that everything's going to work out, but we got to put the works behind that, because God's calling us all into his purpose. And that's me, that's you, that's every one of us. And if we all get to work, then we could change the world very quickly.
That's exactly right. And I'm anxious to link arms with anybody listening who wants to be a part of this world changing effort.
Well, we're going to make sure we've got the links in with you, Joel. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for LifeWise. Thank you for what you're doing with your family. And it's just a great example of purpose and passion at work. And you got a great thing going, and we'll do our part to tell everybody to get involved.
Well, thank you so much, Beth. Thank you for everything you do, and I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, y'all have fun traveling in that van as a family.
We will. We will.